Did you know that women physicians, despite their expertise, have a shorter lifespan than the general population? What? Yeah, I know. I was shocked too. And this statistic really stuck with me because it's not about intelligence or access or effort. It's truly showing that the system of healthcare is not built to help women clinicians succeed at all. It's not built for us emotionally, neurologically, biologically, and we're left paying the price. So, if you are a woman clinician right now, silently wondering how much longer can I handle this episode is for you. I'm going to break down my latest framework called the Catalyst Energetics. And it's a simple nervous system tool that you can use every day. And I've been using this inside my coaching and mentoring, inside retreats that I teach. So listen to this episode. It's my gift to you so that you can have better intuition, better flow, and not become another statistic. Welcome to The Catalyst Way, the podcast for women clinicians ready to clear the chaos and create space to flourish. I'm Dr. Lara, a former burned out family practice doctor turned mentor, author, and professional calendar whisperer. I help women in medicine reclaim time, trust their intuition, and build practices that actually fit their lives. Each week, you'll get practical tools, creative strategies, and tiny shifts that help you color outside the lines and paint a work-life masterpiece of authentic, aligned joy. Okay, every episode starts with a story. This one features my brick. Okay, this is not a sponsored ad, but it's something I bought towards the end of 2025 because one of my goals is to spend less time on my phone. I do love TikTok and Instagram for some juicy educational pieces, but sometimes it's a little indulgent and I don't really need that. So I decided to buy a brick. And what this is an NFC chip is inside. It's a very simple application you download on your phone, and all you need to do is tap the brick and it will lock certain apps. And you can choose which ones, and you can unlock it by tapping it again. But it's just an extra step that I go through now, and it has significantly lowered my screen time by 60%, which is phenomenal. So the story that starts is I was actually indulging in some screen time, and it's really awesome because it felt like a treat. And one of my catalysts had shared this study with me. And this study was discussed by Dr. Elizabeth Porter, which you might be familiar with. She's famous on social media for uncovering all of the hypocrisy and the brokenness of the insurance world. She is a cancer surgeon for her patients with breast cancer and often talks about how they're denied coverage. And she's filming herself on prior authorization phone calls. I mean, she's really changing the way people see an insurance-based platform. And what she's doing has been done in functional medicine already. We have turned it on its head to outsource where people get labs, right? To look at how we can change payment structures. And this is frankly why I started a membership years ago and why I teach membership models in my Catalyst studio, because that allows ease for consistent revenue for the practitioner, but also the patient feels cared for at the level that they need. We need to stop thinking there's only one way to do medical care. But when you look at that statistic, it's not just now that we're battling this broken healthcare system for patients, we're losing physicians. If women physicians are dying younger, we have to stop the madness. And I want you to hear this. This is not saying that we are the problem. This episode is giving you a tool to help you regulate and find more centered groundedness and flow. But it's because the world is so chaotic and the system is broken. The system is not going to change overnight. And if you read the article, which again was in JAMA, it was published February 25th, 2025. If you read the article, they cite a lot of reasons why they think that women have earlier life expectancy. It has to do with a lot of the emotional labor they do, not only at home, but also in clinics. We're talking staff that like to bend their ear over some kind of conflict, right? Or they involve them in the potlucks, or they're the ones first chosen for committee meetings, or maybe they're also the point of contact for school when the kid needs to get picked up or they're sick. And then they go home and have emotional labor. And there's no sabbaticals built in for women physicians or practitioners. You see a lot of them coming back from maternity leave early because they're so worried that their patients aren't cared for. There's no system to help with that. So naturally, our telomeres are shrinking, our cortisol is high, and now we're losing women. The question is really, what is worth your peace? Is success measured in dollar amounts or is it measured in time freedom? Are you living the life that you really thought? And if you're silently wondering if it's better somewhere else, that's a great question. And I'm going to give you an honest answer. It's not. I know that's shocking, right? I love functional integrative medicine and I love helping women clinicians build their ideal practice, but that's not a guarantee it's better. And I'm going to tell you why. When you go into practice for yourself and you are an entrepreneur and you're able to have functional and integrative medicine on your own terms, it sounds deliciously tantalizing, doesn't it? But unless you take care of some nervous system imbalances and boundary work and all the things that we talk about inside my Catalyst studio, you're going to find burnout there too. I see it happen all the time. I see it happen in other business mentorships that, yes, I signed up for a few early in the day, and they're very aggressive. They're modeled after like a diluted MBA, right? 5 pillars, the lead, attract, nurture, convert, retain, and financials and all this stuff. And those are the nuts and bolts. We need those. Every business does. We provide those in Catalyst Studio. All the mentorships I know will give you lean canvas business plan or financial ideas or, profit calculators. All these things are so common. But what mentorships don't do that I'm very proud of is create a safe container for you to let your hair down and to self-reflect over some of these habitual thought patterns or nervous system habits that you have acquired because you grew up in a system that didn't value you. So we're talking boundaries, we're talking trauma-informed care, we're talking self-actualization. Building your own functional medicine business is the best gift you can give yourself because you're going to meet your shadows. You're going to meet yourself at different levels that you never thought. And this is what is the best magical part about the work that I love getting up and doing every day, is teaching people things like I'm about to teach you. This is a tool. It's not going to save you from a system that isn't built to help you. It's not going to save you from all the problems in the world, but what it will do is start getting you reacclimated with what it feels like on the inside to know your truth. And you start to really trust your own knowledge. You start to make better decisions. You start to show more confidence. You start to feel more emotionally attuned. You start to have better boundaries. You start to really take that power back in a healthy and loving way. Basically, you become a catalyst, and that's what we do. We are showing teeny shifts that have immense impact so that you can lead the future of healthcare on your own terms. Let's dive into this tool. Before I dive into it, I want to explain the foundation of this tool. I have been training for a while in all things neuroscience. As you know, I love Flow Research Collective, started me off on this neuroscience bend. Actually, maybe that second. Functional medicine really was the first because I started seeing cortisol actually affects people's diseases. Interesting, and as I was burning out in regular medicine and found functional medicine, I noticed I was participating in things that might have been raising my cortisol. And I started to get curious how our body can adjust to our thought patterns and to the things we do in the day. Flow Research Collective taught me all about neuroscience of flow and how can we create this on demand and how can we change our calendar and manage our time and become wizards where it feels like we're bending time. I infuse that in all of my coaching and mentoring, in addition to additional training. I'm working with Kiyumi Institute for psychedelic integration. I really was interested in the depth psychology that comes from the integration. So we're talking Jungian psychology, the shadows, the pendulation that happens with contraction and expansion. And I truly believe that plants are an amazing future for our mental health. There's a wonderful respect that I give plant medicine. This catalyst energetics loop is helping you understand when you are stuck in one of two phases, either contraction or expansion. So that's how you start using this tool. You simply ask yourself, am I feeling contracted right now or am I feeling expanded? Once you identify that, then you need to know, is this a comfortable or uncomfortable contraction or expansion? So think about it. If you think about an infinity loop on its side, on its horizontal axis, on the left side, you have contraction, right? You've got the uncomfortable contraction where you're playing small. You might be fear-based. You might be hiding or just collapsing under the weight of stress. But there's also comfortable contraction where you're just isolating yourself in solitude because you're journaling, you're focused, you're quiet, you're grounded, you're anchored. Then on the other end of the infinity loop, we have expansion. And there's the uncomfortable expansion where everything's chaotic and overwhelming and disorganized and you can't even catch your breath. And then we have the comfortable expansion where everything is abundant. You feel like it's flowing and you're at the top of your game Everything is effortless. Now, thinking of these states, we move through them all day long. But when we get stuck, that's the point that we need to investigate. That's where we start asking, where am I stuck? Am I stuck in contraction or am I stuck in expansion? And this oscillation is really, really important. This oscillation happens in a retreat. You might be able to learn tools in a retreat setting that cause a lot of transformation, transmuting this energy and giving you new insight to yourself. But it also can occur in one-on-one coaching and mentoring sessions. It can occur with creative flow activities. Centerpiece of the infinity loop is that beautiful part where magic happens, where you learn to pivot and you can actually control this pendulation of contraction to expansion. I'm not saying it's going to cure the system of burnout, but it will help you rise to the occasion to recognize when you might need some help shifting into a slightly different state that can help you stay afloat. Hey Catalysts, I want to share with you a free resource that gives you a small window into the work that I do at retreats. It's called the Catalyst Energetics Map, and it's a simple visual map to help you notice what state your nervous system is in and choose a creative activity that fits that moment. This is the same framework that I use in immersive retreat spaces, but it's distilled down into a one-page tool so you can start using it right away. It's not the full experience, but it will get you started and understanding your inner signals better to make more confident decisions and live your life to the fullest. You can download it for free at drlarasalyer.com/create. The Catalyst Energetics Map can grow with you as you understand yourself better and avoid burnout. Download it free at drlarasalyer.com/create. And thank you for coloring outside the lines with me. You're not alone. A lot of us leave corporate healthcare to start our own job in functional and integrative medicine. We open up our own business and think that we're free of the tendrils of burnout, but burnout still happens. When you're an entrepreneur, you face a whole host of other decisions to make, rows and rows of decisions. And that can be really decentering and difficult for many of us who thought, well, I just want to see patients. And I thought I would solve my burnout by leaving this job. Nope, burnout travels with you. It's firmly there in your back pocket unless you learn these nervous system tools. This is a beautiful way to start, is practicing this energetic loop. So I'm going to give an example of how I used it just yesterday. Yesterday, I went through just a really difficult day. I think the year 2025 was challenging for me. Personally, professionally, I'm a sandwich generation. Kids are adulting in the world, driving on icy roads with maybe sub-ideal tires. You've got these things that wake you up at night, right? Did they make it there safe? How come they forgot to text me? Then I've got my parents who, one is on hospice, the other is ailing with dementia, and they have been for a long time. So it's this caretaking on both ends. And yesterday was a very, very tough day for me for so many other reasons, small reasons, like I forgot to drop off a package at the U.S. Postal Service, to larger things. I forgot to email the caseworker back in the Social Security office for my parents, lots of stuff. Normally my winter pattern when I've had a busy, productive day is I'll go into my sauna and I'll put my legs up on the wall. And I'll have either a meditative moment, or most commonly, that's my treat time to unblock my phone and go ahead and scroll. And I will scroll on TikTok and Instagram. And then when my beeper goes off with the sauna, I'm done, right? Yesterday, I was so overwhelmed. I paused and said, what state am I in? And I could recognize it was the uncomfortable, expanded state where everything was coming at me left, right, and center. More mail to pick up regarding stuff for my parents. Inbox was overflowing. I was getting missed calls or texts, and I felt like I didn't even know where to start. And I identified that state and realized, inviting more chaos and unpredictable scrolling probably would not be good for that state. Not at all. It would amplify that discomfort in that expanded state. And I think many of us are doing this mindlessly. I know I used to. So instead, I kept my phone bricked. And again, this is not a sponsored ad, but I do love this. I kept it bricked, and I decided to take my journal into the sauna instead and just have quiet solitude and reflect on this state that I was in, to see how I could move it into a more regulated, contracted state. So I chose contraction, and I moved through that portal of oscillation by starting with my breath and starting with focusing and bringing my journal in, and a creative exercise of drawing little circles and doodles, because that's a controlled, habitual pattern that can help you start to focus and shift back into a contracted state. And it worked really well. I was able to sleep deeply and wake up more refreshed. And I know that if I had chosen my typical pattern of getting a little treat on my phone and scrolling, that may not have happened. Here's the thing. Women in medicine, we tend to get stuck in contraction. Why? Because we're the ones that hold more of that responsibility. We tend to get picked, for those committees. We're rewarded for holding more. We're praised for our endurance. We are the first ones that are expected to be self-sacrificial because it's just in our nature, right? We'll always say yes. And over time, that contraction can become brittle and chronic, and we forget how to get ourselves out of that state and go back into expansion. And that is the core of flow neuroscience and creativity, is being that pivotal point in the middle of this infinity loop to help you recognize where you're at and find your way back into expansion. Not because expansion is going to last forever, right? But just to enjoy that feeling again of, oh, this is what it feels like to be in my body and enjoying this experience and finding delight and maybe whimsy or fun, whatever your word of the year is. But you deserve more of that. We went into medicine to help people find that for themselves. Why can't we find it in ourselves? I don't think there's a rule anywhere that says if you're helping somebody else, it means you must be giving them all your energy and then you are a shell, a raisin of a person. We deserve to have joy in our lives, and this tool helps you remember it. So here's my PSA for you. If you ever have an opportunity to sign up for a retreat, I really want you to do it. Now, I'm speaking as a recovering, I guess you could call me oppositional retreat goer for the first probably 48 years of my life. I never went on a retreat. I thought they were kind of worthless. Okay, yoga, I could do that at home or my local gym. Okay, eat good food. I can go to a restaurant and have some beautiful organic food. Why would I want to go on a retreat? Oh, if I want to go somewhere nice, I'll just go with my family. Like, it never made sense to me why retreats were so popular. Well, now I get it. I've seen the light. And the reasons why is it is providing a contained oscillation point, that middle part. It's helping you grease the wheels of going through contraction and expansion in a setting that is contained, that feels like you can let your hair down, that has things catered for you. And the retreats that I've had the honor of going to and teaching at have always been transformational, because each expert has their own little zone of genius and they help you learn new insights about yourself. What I used to think about retreats is I would never go to them because it's a false reality. I'm going to love the retreat and then come back to the same chaos and burnout that I left. I could choose to use the tools. And that's what retreats are doing now, especially after COVID, when people are really longing to have this in-person dynamic. Retreats have gone to the amazing level. We're seeing such transformation that can happen in a mere few days of strangers coming together and exploring a lot of these ideas. So if you ever have a chance to go to a retreat, this is my PSA, please say yes, try it out. You will never regret it. I've been to so many retreats. I'm kind of on a retreat gathering mission where I see all the things that I enjoy and the things that I may do differently on a retreat. The one common theme is I'm always changed. I'm always grateful that I went. I learned something new. I was able to empower myself in new ways, and you deserve that. So consider this like the antidote, the bolus of medicine that you need so that you can live just as long as your peers, right? Now, if you want an IV drip version of that, then get your own coaching or mentoring. I love coaching women. I love it because I get it. I'm in the same system as you. And if I am not in the same system specifically, I've been there. And so this kind of IV drip fashion is like little moments of magic, an hour shared on Zoom. And it's that middle of the infinity loop that helps you find your footing again, helps you see the patterns, helps you recognize, am I in a chronically contracted state, or am I just running around expanded and making no sense, not even organizing my time? Another thing I hear all the time is, well, if I just found the right job or business model, my burnout will stop. And that is not true. Your perception of your reality starts with you. And again, this is not victim blaming. The system is broken, but your other job will also reflect your dysregulated nervous system and your inability to manage your time or your boundaries or your calendar. And that's why we spend a lot of time on that inside my Catalyst studio. This is a hard reflection right now, is if you're looking and you're Googling second jobs or looking for the next, available opportunity, be cautious about that. Really reflect. Are you looking for something perfect and you're avoiding that self-work? What can you do right now in the state you're in? First, name it. Are you contracted or are you expanded? And what activity can you do to bring you to the other side? I'll talk about activities later because there's so many to try. But the bare minimum is if you're in an expanded state, the easiest thing to do is to do something more focused, like journaling or making a list, dumping things out, something that gives control, folding laundry. Those kinds of activities can help you bring that chaos into more order. And if you're stuck in this small way, the way you can nudge out of that is really finding that smallness inside and breathing into it, bringing a little movement into your day. There's so many, bring some more expansive creative activities into your day, little doses. Work with a mentor or a coach to help you reflect on where you're stuck and where you're looping those patterns so that you can move a little bit more into this expansion. In closing, I didn't mean to mention this statistic to scare you, but it should strike fear and wake us all up to what's happening in healthcare. I don't know about you. I don't want to be another statistic. And in the functional and integrative medicine world, I'm learning more and more every day. Longevity is not all about data, labs, and protocols. It's more about how we are choosing to live with our nervous system still intact. It's about helping us, as well as our patients, invite more agency into the picture and recognizing that sometimes ordering more tests or data is just piling more information into this already expanded state. What can we drill down and focus on? So here's my closing catalyst question for you. Thinking into these two states, this infinity loop of contraction and expansion and this pendulation, I'd like you to reflect, what state is your average these days? And pause. You can close your eyes. You can ask yourself internally, where have I been living most of my days? If you're listening to this outside of the holiday season, maybe it's not as chaotic, hopefully. Once you identify, ask yourself, what does that state need, right? Because my answers might not work for you. You have that wisdom inside. So if you ask yourself, am I contracted right now? Am I expanded? Then ask, what do I need? And that's the homework. Find little ways to give yourself, of course, if you want to go on a retreat, wouldn't we all? How can you give yourself a slice of heaven right now? What feels like a retreat to you? It doesn't have to be tropical weather, sunny beaches, and Mai Tais. Invoke the emotion that a retreat can give you. Maybe it's a place where nobody can reach you. Maybe you'll join me in the sauna and we turn our phones off and nobody can find us. Maybe it's a forest in your neighborhood or in your county that you disappear for a bit. Maybe you go off on a long run. But whatever you need for that state, make that a priority above anything else, because you deserve to have a life full of joy, full of catalytic teeny moments. And as you learn your nervous system better, I promise you, that'll make all the difference in the burnout that you perceive, in your relationships, and in your patient care. The future of medicine is going to be led by women who are regulated, supported, and connected, who are unabashedly self-expressive, and they know that they don't have to do it alone, and neither do you. Thanks again for listening to the Catalyst Way podcast. If this episode sparked something in you, I would love to hear about it. Comment below, share it with a friend, find me on social media. I'm here as your number one Catalyst cheerleader as we lead the revolution in healthcare to be more humane, loving, and creative for all. Keep coloring outside those lines. Thanks for listening to The Catalyst Way, where we clear the chaos and create space to flourish in medicine and life. If today's episode lit a spark in you, your next step is to go take the Catalyst Archetype quiz. It's fun, free, and freakishly accurate. Go to drlarasalyer.com/create. In less than 5 minutes, you'll uncover your burnout risk, your creative strengths, and work rhythms that energize you. Because it's not about finding a perfect plan, but rather flowing with the one that fits you.